Yo, boys. We'll get some more peeps in and then we'll get started. Nice little quick day considering, markets are closed. What up, David? Confirm you guys can hear me, boys. You guys can hear, see my Bitcoin chart. Let me know. What up, Alpha G? Good to see you. Sweet, appreciate it. Just waiting on Faron and at least some more people to join. Appreciate it, Mike.
Buenos dias. Good morning.
Yo, good morning. How you doing, bro?
Doing well. Doing well. Uh, Woke up actually today before my alarm. Those are great days.
Wow. It's like the world's trying to tell you something.
And you just naturally woke up.
Just make sure you guys can hear us, right? In the comments.
Are we on
Perfect.
X?
Yeah, we're just on X here. Is it a holiday today?
I think it's Good Friday.
Oh, yeah, I'm like, wow, engagement's a little low. Only 100 people here. But nevertheless, we'll get started now. I'll get us off of this.
Yeah.
Today,
Sunday's Easter.
oh, wait, yeah. Oh, Sunday's Easter. That makes sense. People traveling. And also markets are closed, I believe. So,
Yeah.
you have pretty nice close, though. I mean, I will say yesterday was pretty epic. Just quickly in my mind, you go to oil. I mean, it closed above $112. Absolutely epic. Just in my opinion, signaling continuation for markets down once we potentially open next week. Uh, for this stream, though, right, we're just going to be looking at Bitcoin and Solana. That way we can really get a gauge on kind of where the markets are going into this weekend, this extended weekend. We have to look at whenever markets are closed as just typical weekend price action. Even though, well, wait, it's a Friday. Yes, but you have to just be looking at this as kind of low volume environments once, New York session is actually, until the New York session is open, I should say. But what are we looking at on Bitcoin? I'll go first, Solana, and then I'll hand over the mic to Mr. Farhano. Well, we're still looking at bearish consolidation. Nothing's really changed, and even on stream yesterday, what was that, Thursday? So Wednesday, Thursday. Remember, on Thursdays we have our private academy live stream. We were just talking about bearish consolidation scenario. Yes, there's possibilities of us potentially going up, but before we actually talk about a move up looking like something like this, you have to first get past the first objective, which is simply the 12-hour EMA 9. What you're noticing is in this region, you had a breakdown, you have consolidation. You're getting a lot of people becoming bullish on this consolidation just simply because each wick low is not taking out the prior. But we know simply this is bearish consolidation in a very low volatility environment. You need to be watching very carefully the reaction in this region. Because remember, on Wednesday, we had a breakdown. All we've done is rally up and we've done an underside retest, just testing the 12-hour EMA 9, and even more so, rejecting the 12-hour EMA 5. I like using that 5 to really gauge, okay, are we getting some kind of strength? But no, you're just simply weak in the midst of a volatility contraction tomorrow, tonight. You are going to get a BBWP setup on the 12-hour, which is going to be quite interesting to see because, well, again, you are brewing a breakdown here. Now, yes, you got follow through slightly, but you've just essentially made a quick lower high, and that's all this looks like. When you throw on the trend wave catalyst on the 12-hour, and I think the 12-hour is telling a good story, so I'll keep talking about it. I mean, look at this. You have that clear higher high, but then this is when you made that lower low break. So at this point, you're potentially producing the next lower high while also staying under the 12-hour EMA 9. Now, if we end up moving up slightly more at this point, you have to be watching for just simply the 12-hour EMA 21 to get rejected, sitting at 67,700. Now, you're also going to understand that that's simply where the daily EMA 9 is. We've been talking a lot about the 12-hour, but the daily is also in bearish posturing here. You've freshly lost the daily 9. You're now just simply today rejecting the 12-hour, the daily EMA 5. My apologies, daily EMA 5. And this just signals to you how weak markets are. From just that 5, you have gone down from wick low 1.5%. Now you're getting bought up slightly in doji formation, showing indecision going into the weekend. But this does tell you that if you do make a move to the daily EMA 9, this still is in bearish setup. You should be looking at this to reject along with the 12-hour EMA 21. So, in my opinion, we have some pretty clear objectives just to short. And this ultimately means that we are going to go lower. And it's really hard to become a bull as long as you're under the 2021 market cycle high. Simply look at the reactions when you've gotten closures under the 2021 market cycle high. 9.3%. Here was another one. 5.4%. Here was another one. Essentially 4%. From wick basis here, 4.2%. Here's another one, 5.6%, and even the most recent one, 4.3%. So you get the idea here. This is a massive zone, and being under the 2021 market cycle high gives you these big moves down. But what's really the big thing here? You're in a massive range, and this is something we identified literally in this zone here. When we made this wick low, this solidified to me, this is going to be a range. 65,000 is going to be support or acting of support, while 69,000 will be resistance. Now, you've been getting these failed breakdowns that have been getting bought up, move back up to the top of the range, failed breakdown, move up to the top of the range, failed breakout, failed breakout, failed breakout. And now you just see you're consolidating within the middle of the range. Is this bullish? No. And you can even see this looks like a head and shoulders now that I just drew this out. Gosh, trading views updates, very annoying. Right. Wow. Yeah, there we go. Oh, so I guess it just doesn't want to work. Really, trading views should just stop updating their app. It just simply works. They should stop updating that shit. Very annoying. But regardless, this is bearish consolidation is the point I'm trying to bring home. In a low volatility contraction, you also, well, throw on your daily HBDR and you do see you are simply rejecting the daily median. This gives you a measured move down to 65,500, very near our 65K target. So yeah, I mean, we're not fully breaking down quite yet, but are we bullish? No. And this is just setting up for a bearish setup. You even see here on that false breakout in the early mornings of today, we simply retested the 4-hour EMA 34, a zone that did get deviated here on Wednesday, right? You were holding it as support. You've lost it. You've rallied up and tested it while potentially producing a lower high. Right, we can see that. Let me get the rainbow chart off. Right, you can see that. So still very much bearish in my opinion. And we should still be looking for the objective of 65,000. And until we actually lose 65,000, this isn't range bound in my opinion. Now, there are greater things on this chart saying we are very near a massive breakdown and potentially brewing the next leg down on Bitcoin, which means that it is more likely once you reach 65,000, you are actually going to start losing it. Could look something like this. And then this is where we'll actually take another ETA short. Remember at ETA, we were able to scale shorts here, here, and here. So on every move down, we've been able to scale shorts successfully. Won't be any different if we actually get the loss of 65,000. This will be my criteria minimum to target 62.2. And at that point, this will be our area where we're going to actually look at 58,000 as the next objective, where then that weekly actually becomes that mid-range. And let me show you what I mean by that. Where's my SMA 200? 921. What the heck? 3,400. Oh, a nice trading view. Deleted my SMA 200. Love it. Dude, they should just stop updating that. It's terrible. Whatever. This is how you add it. Indicators, simple. Put it on. It throws on a 9. Go over here. You throw on your 200. And I always like making my style white. Make it a little more girthy too, if I will. Right over here. Gosh, see, they just update this stuff. And it just, there we go. A little more girthy, you know how we roll here at ETA. But SMA 200, beautiful. So you do see, okay, let me just get this shit off. It's like, God damn, this shit's annoying. You do see, you still have a clear objective zone to the SMA 200. Even during the bi-weekly on, has anything really changed here? No, nothing's really changed here. And more so, it's actually becoming stronger for bears because you've lost a weekly, bi-weekly EMA 100, which does signal to you at minimum a move down to the bi-weekly SMA 200, which in Bitcoin's history, you've never actually tested the bi-weekly SMA 200. You've gotten very near it. Just trying to clean this chart up, honestly. It's very annoying to me. Like TradingView updates it in the most annoying way, but they can't just quickly delete the little lines here. Anyways, keep going. Like they should just have like a eraser. Like, am I tripping? Anyways, yeah, whatever. Fuck it. You can notice here we've actually never hit the weekly SMA, bi-weekly SMA 200. So you're getting nice confluence on the higher time frames that Bitcoin is in a breakdown zone. And into April, you're more likely actually to see follow through down. And all this move did in the early beginning of April was retest the 2021 market cycle high, but also getting you a bi-weekly bearish retest. Here's your deviation, and here's your retest. I'll even circle it here. There's your retest. Like, boom. Then now you're just looking for the leg down. And even on the monthly, it's still signaling to you that that's still potentially, well, the next move down, which is, again, just losing that 34 into last month. All we did was rally up to it. We're still brewing a move down to that monthly EMI 100. So I just want us all to understand Bitcoin is still bearish. This is still bearish consolidation, in my opinion. And we should be looking at this as, well, in a bad zone for, well, essentially bulls. This could easily just dump at this point, specifically when you have a volatility setup in the midst of firing off and or giving you a setup tonight. So watch the 4 hour very carefully. Watch 65,000. And once you lose 65,000, you are going to end up capitulating on Bitcoin. So, right, it could easily be like this and this. So watch for something like this. And at our free Discord, we did post a short yesterday, and it is currently green, massively green, actually. So we want to be understanding the ranges that we're playing, but still, I mean, it all makes sense. Now we'll quickly go to Solana. Let me just do that really fast. Right, and Solana is actually weaker than Bitcoin. Because where you're maybe getting a bearish retest on the monthly 34, you can see Solana's already capitulated from the monthly 34, and you're even in no man's land now. Now, Solana on the monthly and or also daily is giving you a move to $58. Simple. And you can see on the daily here, all you're doing is producing a daily lower high in the midst of lower highs after a lower low, and you're in a daily breakdown while having a daily volatility setup. Next target is February's low. Minimum 68, we'll call it 69 for the culture. And at that point, you take this low out and get daily closures under it, you will capitulate to 58. So very simple stuff here. Now, that's really all I have on Sol. I mean, there's nothing, you're just waiting for follow through at this point. At ETA, we did scale shorts at this region and this region. Now, if we end up closing dailies under 75.70, that's where I maybe will give a Discord short. But until then, you're just looking for follow through down, in my opinion. And even look at the 5-day volatility setup, is still more likely to fire to the downside. And you're even rejecting the 5-day median, giving you a target to where? Very near that February low at $72. So let's see really fast, very fast before I be done here. Do I see any kind of setup that we could potentially take? Well, hourly is giving us a volatility setup. 30 minutes is closing soon. Looks like you're, just dealing with lower highs. So we'll go to the 4 hours and it's closing. And you're looking for potentially the 4 hour EMA 5 to get lost to then continue down to 65.5. And actually, I like the today, the 12 hour was very nice. 12 hour under the median gives you a move to 65.5. You see that number again. 8 hour gives you a move to 64.8. 6 hour, 65. If, right, you start losing that 66K. So weak, in my opinion, very weak. And well, we're not just waiting for our TP zone to hit again at 65K. Once that does get lost, this is where I'll give another short. That's all I have. I'll pass it over to you, Farhana.
All right, let me share my screen.
Manuel, the confirmation of 59K is simply not taking out 69.2. There you go, Farhana.
Switch over to HPDR, go to Bitcoin, go to daily. Great. Let's go to take a look at this. Right. So with the daily on Bitcoin, we got momentum currently still positioned to the upside, but it's still it's now at that reset area, the neutral zone. So can't really be seen as positive or neutral or negative momentum until it's at the 20 on either direction, whether 20 on the positive side or 20 on the negative side. And as of now, you are taking out this previous high on momentum, while price is making a lower high, giving you possibility of hidden bearish divergence here. And this is going to require a close below 65, 681 to confirm. And if that does give you a confirmation, it gives you a target down to somewhere around 63 to 62,000 on confirmation. And see what else there is here. Nothing else. Volatility is back to extreme lows, and the jewel is now giving you a fresh buy signal here in the bearish control zone. But in the background, you're getting a bearish cross with the pink crossing below the yellow. So what this is probably going to do is give you a move towards the actual cross itself, and then this is where it's going to flip back down, giving you a rejection of getting out of the bearish control zone, and then giving you some downside dumping action. Well, let's see what type of a move this usually produces, and mark this off. So mark it here at the neutral. Have we gotten close to confirm this yet? So we could take this one too then, I guess. We'll skip the God mode one. Probably gonna skew the results. And we'll take that. Coolio. This one was move up of 3%. Oops. This one was move up of about 4.2, 5%. Oops. This one, about 2.8%, followed by 7.5% and 11%. So about 3% seems to be the minimum end number. Another 2.56%, closer to 3%. This one was bigger. From open to wick high from open to close about 12% and high of 14%. And as of now, from the open to the high of 1.5%. So the minimum number of 2.5 to 3%, that would bring us to about $69,000 roughly, 69,800, 69,900, just below $70,000. And if you were to take it about 4%, 4% brings us to about $71,000. And then just for funsies, we'll take the higher end move of somewhere around 11 to 14%. 11% brings us to about 75,800. And 14% would bring us to about $78,000. Interesting. And let's go back to the HPDR. And as of now, we are still above the median. From the last couple of closes, we were below it and we did reject it, but on this candle, we opened above it. And our current low is right around the median at around 66,553. If you were to lose that area, that's what brings you down to somewhere around 65,000 for a slight bounce. And then you're likely going to find yourself around 62,000. Continue to close above, then you're statistically likely to retest this 38.2% at around 68,400. Okay. 12 hours, very close. Oh no, it's now flipping back up on momentum ever so slightly. We do need to get a close that would confirm that, and volatility is now almost at 0%. And the 12-hour jewel is on neutral. Let's go back. 12-hour last close did close slightly over that median, and we are currently still over the median. It's at 66,800. It's going to be the spot where if you lose this, it's probably going to break down. And if you continue to hold this, you'll get another attempt at 68,000. 8 hours currently flipped down, entering into the bearish control zone with volatility still expanding, and the 8 hour still has that bullish cross, the pink above the yellow, and we are about to get the oscillator to test the actual cross itself and the bearish control zone. Currently getting rejections from our 5 and 9 EMA. What you want to see for continuation upwards is the close of this 61.8%, then we can see a retest of 68,000. Anything else here? No. 6 hours started to flip back up. Goes along with reclaiming that 61.8%. Anything else? No. Four hours also flipped up, very close to entering into the bullish control zone with volatility very close to expanding, and the 4 hour jewel still giving you a buy signal, now exiting the bearish control zone. And it goes along with price getting a close over the 38.2%, and you are still hovering over that 38.2% at 66,800. So if you were to close over it, probably going to get a retest of that area, 66.8. Then the target from there would be to the 78.6, which is currently right around 68,000. 2 hours also flipped up, close to entering into the bullish control zone with volatility expanding, and 2 hours also giving you a buy signal here. And brushing up against the 38.2%, which is the breakout zone. We have gotten multiple previous rejections of that 38.2% area, three actually from this last attempts. So this time around, if we can get a break close over at 67,000, that should give us a move into about like 68 to 78.6%. 15 minutes still pointed up. We did get a close over the 61.8%, but you will likely see a little pullback here. Okie dokie. Let's switch over to the RSI. Time for some RSI. We'll start with USDT, Tether dominance. Tether dominance has put in a local bottom, invalidating the hidden bearish divergence, and that did give us a move towards this bullish control zone, which we are now hitting, and that level is at about 8.06%. 12-hour also has multiple drives of bullish divergence. This will be active as long as you're closing over 7.875. And you have the easy target, which is a simple moving average from there. The next level is the neutral zone. That's at about 8.11. 8-hour currently has multiple drives of bearish divergence. This is going to be active as long as you're closing below 8.081%. And let's zoom in on this. Fuck. And you currently have, or you're very close to hitting the easy target, which is the bearish control zone. You've already hit the neutral zone. The bearish control zone is at about 7.9%, not too far off. Four hours got hidden bearish divergence, now entering into the bullish control zone. This will stay in the bullish control zone when if you can close over about 8%. And let's go back for a little bit. Hourly's got multiple three drives of hidden bearish divergence. Let's zoom in. This will be active as long as you're closing below 8.078%. And you've hit the easy target, which is the bearish control zone, and volatility is at extreme lows. Critical zones at 7.93%. Alrighty. 2 days got active bearish divergence. This is going to remain active as long as you're closing below 8.146%. Next target is a simple moving average at 7.86%. 5 days got hidden bullish divergence, which is going to be active as long as you're closing over 7.268%. And your next target from there is going to be the critical zone, which is at about 9.99%. And if you were to test the edge of the bullish control zone, that puts you at about 7.5, which you likely will bounce if you go towards that area. 6 days still got bearish divergence. That'll target the edge of the bullish control zone. That's at about 7.5. Weekly still got hidden bullish divergence, targets the simple moving average at around 9%, 9.06%. So support sitting at 7.5 once again for the edge of the bullish control zone. 2 weeks got a local top with targets somewhere around 7.4 to 7.5. Alrighty. Daily put a local top here on Bitcoin, and you are getting to the easy target from there, which is going to be the bearish control zone. That level sits at about 66,600, which I believe you came close to. I believe no, you actually hit it. I think you came to 66.2, so you did hit that area. And let me zoom in again. Next area would be the simple moving average if we continue to bounce here. So moving average is at 67.8. 12-hour currently has active bearish divergence. This is going to be active as long as you're closing below 68,674. And zoom in, you are currently forming hidden bearish divergence also because you are taking out this previous high on momentum. Price is making a lower high. This will require a close below 66,240 to confirm. And if you do confirm it, that gives you a move down to about 63 with volatility at extreme lows. 8 hours got hidden bearish divergence. This will be active as long as you're closing below 68.9. And zoom in here. You've hit the easy target, which is the neutral zone, and you're currently getting a bounce from that area. Four-hour currently has 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence. This is going to be active as long as you're closing over 66,544, and your next target on that divergence is going to be the edge of the bullish, or the edge of the bearish control zone. That's at about 67.3, and the neutral zone is at 68.6. Volatility is back at 0% on the 2-hour, with momentum entering into the bullish control zone now. And hourly's got 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence. This will be active as long as you're closing over 66,642. And this will target the bullish control zone, which is at about 67K. Not really too far off, with volatility at extreme lows. Daily momentum is still flipped up, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over $65,600, with volatility very close to going into expansion. 12 hours also flipped up with volatility back at extreme lows, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 67,250, with momentum now breaking out of the bearish control zone. 8 hours close to closing, will close soon, and it is currently flipped down with a dip of death and volatility contraction, and it's going to remain flipped down as long as you're closing below 68,550, excuse me. 4 hours currently freshly flipped up, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing above 66,900. And this close was at 66,630, and this one is at 66.5, so it's a lower low. 2 hours currently also flipped up with momentum entering into the bullish control zone and volatility at 0% and a derp of life, and you're going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 66,700. And hourly is very close to flipping back up, and this will flip up if you can close over 66,960, so about 67,000, with volatility back at extreme lows. Two-day is currently flipped down with volatility expanding, giving a good 2-day setup firing off, and this is going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below about $72,000. 5 days currently flipped up with volatility almost back at extreme lows, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 66,600, which we are very close to. And if you notice what momentum on the 5 day is making a higher low, while price is making a lower low, giving you confirmed bullish divergence, and this is going to be active as long as momentum is flipped up. 5 day, weekly. Weekly is currently flipped down, very close to flipping back up, and this will flip back up if you can close over 66,400. And if this does flip back up here, it's likely going to give you a retest of this 90 and made a minimum at around $70,000. Now, if you go into CME, CME is currently freshly flipped back up on the weekly, and this is going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 67,500 plus. CME on the weekly is making a higher low, with price making a lower low, giving you weekly bullish divergence, which is going to remain active as long as this is currently flipped up. But volatility is contracting with that bullish divergence, meaning you're likely just going to make a lower high in a series of lower highs before you come down and test this 200 SMA at around $59,000. But at that point, probably going to go a little deeper into the 50s. 2-week is also currently very close to flipping back up, with volatility close to going into contraction, and this will flip back up if you can close over 66,800. And also, if this flips back up, you're probably going to get a retest somewhere around 70,000. Monthly is also very close to flipping firing off a volatility setup, and this is going to fire off once we get a monthly close over 15%, which we are currently over. And monthly volatility setup does have a 100% hit rate in going in terms of direction of momentum, and momentum is currently going to remain down as long as you're closing below $97,800. This pivot did go down, but it's still significantly above price action, so it shouldn't be looked at as bullish at all. And once this volatility confirms expansion and we are below 97,800, this is going to fire that setup off to the downside, and the average move is somewhere around 50 to 55%. So if this happens at 70,000, that would be like a move around like $35,000. And if this happens like by some miracle grace of God, we can go up to $76,000. That'd bring us to $38,000, which is still quite low. We have to see where price is. Once that volatility setup is firing off, then we can see what that move would take us to. But that average move is about 50%, 50 to 55%, which is what we saw back in 2022, right around this area, where we had that volatility setup firing off, and then we went down 53%. And on the quarterly, we got momentum flipped down, losing the critical zone. Volatility is now approaching the lowest point ever, and it's going to remain flipped down as long as you're closing below $100,900. So basically $101,000. And we got quarterly bearish divergence, and 6 month is going to confirm bearish divergence with any close below 74,441, and that gives you a target down to the 6 month 21, which is at around 42,000, 43,000. But it is going to rise, and then eventually it's going to line up with this previous closing high at around $46,000. And on the low time frames, you do have momentum currently still flipped up on the daily, but it is close to that edge right around $66,600. If you can maintain momentum up here, and refrain from flipping it back down, and the 4-hour remains up, and you just continue sideways here and don't flip it down, then you could see them move into that 70,000 area, 69, 70,000. And then depending on the reaction there, if you do reject that area hard, put in a local top, like shooting star dildo there, then I'd expect that dump towards the 50s first. If you can accept above 70,000, 71,000, then you should see a move into 76 first, or 74 to 76 first, and then that move down. So really the move down is kind of inevitable. It's more rather a when rather than an if. And the invalidation will be getting a weekly close over $98,000.
Yeah, very nice. Do you want to do Solana real fast? Basically down only, but might as well. What up, Bleeding Crypto? Always good to see you, brother.
And you get a sipski of my Coke Zero, my chemicals.
Honestly, when you drink it, makes me want one. Alejandro's right. The best form of marketing. Like I can feel the fizz going down my throat. I know that sounds gay, but like I can feel myself drinking one.
Damn, you feel fizz? I guess the dude needs to get his shit checked out. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, let's see how Solana.
My favorite part is actually the part where it kind of burns your tongue slightly.
Yeah, no, that's the best part. You know, that you get the tear in your eye because it just hits.
It just
Especially if
smacks.
you haven't drinking it in a while. Oh God.
You know, or if you haven't drinking anything in a while.
Yeah, true.
Regular people would go for the water. I grab the Coke Zero.
The crisp Coke Zero in a can.
It has to be from the can. Some people say glass bottle, but the can defeats the glass bottle.
Oh, I know how you roll.
All right, so we'll start with the daily on Solamis, Soilana manlets. So daily is currently flipped up, and we are now getting or deviating the bearish control zone. Excuse me. And we are currently taking out the previous high in momentum, while price is still making lower high, giving you possibility of, excuse me, damn, a lot of bubbles, giving you possibility of hidden bearish divergence here. This will require a close below $76.67 to confirm, which will also give you a loss of this 38.2%. Then that gives you a target down to the 78.6, and that's currently sitting just at low $70, like $73. Although I don't think this is going to stop there. I think this is going to drop into the 60s, and then we are going to get to Y in a bit. But right now we are holding over that 38.2% with momentum flipped up, and the jewel starting to lose the sell signal right in the bearish control zone. So if we do hold this area, I would expect a little bit of a move up, tag somewhere around $83 to $84. But as long as you are below $84, I would just look at this as a lower high in a series of lower highs before you break down to the 60s. If you can get a daily close over this 21 EMA, then you should see a move slightly higher to tag somewhere around $90. But really don't think you're going to be breaking with like $93, $94. Go down a little. 8 hours currently freshly flipping back down, breaking back into the bearish control zone. We are getting a rejection from the 9, not really that powerful of a rejection. We're still over the 5. Want to see how this closes. If this does close over the 5, then you get another attempt at the 9, and then we'll see if we can break it at that point or not. If you continue to reject from this area, this is going to be your next local top, and you're probably going to break down at the low 70s at that point. If you can reclaim the 9, then you get that move into the mid to upper 80s. 4 hours also flipped up, very close, entering into the bullish control zone, with price maintaining over the top 38.2%, and volatility is now once again expanding, with the jewel giving you a buy signal here in the bearish control zone. But you are close to getting a bearish cross with the pink about to cross below the yellow. This is happening in the bearish control zone, so it's not going to be that as powerful, but still won't be negligible. You can invalidate this though if you continue to close over this 50% and this ideally this 21 at around $81, then you should see it move into like 85, which will keep this from crossing down. 2 hours also now flipping back up, about to enter into the bullish control zone, but volatility expanding, and the 2 hours giving you a bullish cross here with the pink above the yellow in the bearish control zone, and light blue is now entering into the bullish control zone. Goes along with price getting over the 38.2% at $80.19. If you can close over that zone, gives you a move into somewhere around the $82, $83. Nice to see that. One green candle means Solana's going back to new all-time highs. That's the rules.
Basically.
That's how I've been conditioned to believe. 1 hour is enough to back up on momentum, very close to entering into the bullish control zone, but 1 hour putting in hidden bullish divergence with volatility currently expanding. And we are getting a close over that 38.2, or not close, but we are hovering over the 38.2%. It's like $80, 80, 40, very slightly above, and we still got 11 minutes left to go, which is an eternity in cryptocurrency land. But if you can close over that 38.2%, then gives you a move into like $82. And now you're back below it. It is an eternity. That was just like 15 seconds. 2-day is now starting to flip back up, getting out of the bearish control zone with volatility going into contraction. Let's zoom in. And this goes along with getting a bounce from that 61.8% and closing over. So as of now, you are hovering around this 50%, which is at $80.26. This is the resistance in between price and the low mid 80s. 5 days getting a loss of the median, getting a rejection of that median, and as of now, you're still have quite a good amount below that median. And if you close below it, you are very likely going to come down to this bottom 38.2%. You might get a bearish retest of that median, and where does it sit? At $85, right at that mid 80s. So even if you were to get that rally, that bounce, that would just take you right back into the median, and then you'd likely just reject it before you go into the low 70s. And 5 days now flipping down. And 5 day put in hidden bearish divergence also, because you took out these previous highs and momentum with price making a significantly lower high. Well, at this point, price was at around 143, 150 bucks, almost twice what it is now. Weekly is currently flipped up, getting out of the bearish control zone with volatility approaching extreme lows, and the weekly jewels giving you a buy signal. This goes along with price holding the 38.2%, which is about $77.80. If you continue to hold this area, you should get that retest of the mid 80s, but I do think you're going to reject it, and at that point, probably break down. Lose this area on a closing basis, then there goes the idea of mid 80s, and you're probably just going to break down to 60 bucks. That is your 78.6% here. And now your HPR range is half step down, so that gives you further room to run to the downside. Previously, it came all the way to 97.5%, pretty close to the 100%. The 100% was at around $62, $63, and we came to about $67, like $5 away. Right now, the 97.5% is sitting at $48, and the 100% is sitting at $43. These are quite low. It's like half of what price is now. 2 week is starting to freshly flip back down, volatility going into expansion, and this goes along with price losing the 78.6%, getting a bearish retest of that 78.6%, and now you are back below the 88.3. This is likely bringing you next to the 70 bucks, somewhere around 60s to 70 bucks. A price that Solana hasn't seen since 2023. And you are very close to a 2 week silver cross here. This is like a bullseye here away. And once they cross, you probably get a nice, nasty little dump ski into the $60 zone. All right, now let's go into Bitcoin, so BTC. All right. Quarterly is currently flipped down with volatility going into expansion, and we are getting a loss of the 61.8% with the bearish retest of that 61.8%, and we are now back below the 78.6. Close below the 78.6, that gives you a pretty nasty drop into many zeros 5, and that's less than half of what we are currently. That really supports Solana's going towards that, closer to that $40 number. Monthly currently flipped down. It is getting a tick up right at the edge of the bearish control zone with volatility still expanding, although that is also getting a tick down here. It supports maybe a little bit of a mean reversion, although I wouldn't see it getting past its 5 EMA at many zeros 1-3. 2 week is starting to flip down. Volatility is expanding. You're losing the 38.2%. And if you do lose that on a closing basis, you got 9 days left to go. Brings you down to this area, many zeros 9, and that supports that 50% crash. This wouldn't exactly be 50%, probably get a little bit of a bounce here, but then eventually you're going to drop lower. Weekly is also close to flipping down here with volatility close to expanding, and we are losing the curvature slightly on the jewel. This is close to flipping neutral, and this would be a rejection of getting out of the bearish control zone. And this would also be hidden bearish divergence on the jewel with a loss of the median, bearish retest of that median, bringing you down to this zone at a minimum. It's 5 days, same as weekly. 5 days, except 5 days already lost the buy signal right at the edge of the bearish control zone, giving you a rejection of getting out of the bearish control zone. You do have a bullish cross here, but not looking strong. This is one of those things where you kind of just have to apply common sense and not just blindly look at the indicator. Because here you would see that, oh, you got a fresh cross, you got a pink above yellow, time to long this shit. But then you also look at some other points of data, like you've flipped neutral here, you're rejecting getting out of the bearish control zone, kind of looks like shit. You are kind of losing the median. Is it going to run back here because of that? Probably not. 2-day currently is also close to flipping up, although it still is under the moving average. Volatility is close to contracting. So if you do get a close over this 38.2% for a slight bounce here, you likely will get momentum flipping up with volatility contracting, and you probably find a lower high somewhere in this up. Same because the daily is up. The daily's already flipped back up with volatility already contracting. Daily is giving us a very close to giving us a bearish cross, the pink about to cross below the yellow. This is one that I would pay attention to because the other data kind of supports it. Getting a bearish retest in somewhere around this zone by closing over the 38.2%. At that point, you will get that cross to the downside, and then probably going to put in your bearish retest here, and then you get a nasty little dumpski. Let's check RSI. Coolio. 4 hour, 8 hour. Nice. Then we go to Sol. Sol daily currently still has active bearish divergence, although this is kind of played out. You're already in the bearish control zone. If you were to test the edge, that'd be like 82, 82.50, so low to mid 80s, somewhere between 82.50 and 89, so $90, mid 80s right in between there. And then the critical zone's at $66. I like that number. 12 hours put in the local bottom, would target the edge of the bullish control zone, and then the neutral zone next, somewhere between the neutral zone and the bullish control zone. Gives you a range between 83 and $90, with volatility now freshly expanding from extreme lows. 8 hours got 3 drives of bullish divergence. This is going to target somewhere around the bullish control zone at around $87. And 2 hours got fresh hidden bearish divergence, although you are about to invalidate it, and that will invalidate with the close over $80.12. And if you do invalidate it, that gives you a move into $84. So basically pretty simple. Likely going to get a move into somewhere around mid 80s, somewhere around 84 to between 85 and $90, somewhere in that zone. High probability rejection from that zone. Then you're going to dump into somewhere around the low 70s for a little bit of a bounce, and then finally somewhere into 60s. And then we have to watch the reaction around $65 to $66. See if we can put in some high time frame bullish divergence there. And if we can, then I'll be more comfortable calling that as the macro bottom. If not, then you are looking somewhere in the 40s next. And the invalidation will be the main invalidation for the going back to new all-time highs is going to be getting a close back over $149. To getting a bigger bounce, you'd need to see a close back over $97, $98 basically.
Very nice, sir. Well, that concludes stream. We'll be back on Monday. Let me get this back on the screen here. So yeah, I appreciate you boys tuning in. Don't forget, Discord's absolutely free. Feel free to hop in there. We are posting setups actively. And if you are interested in actually maybe going deeper, you can go into the Academy, Elite Trading Academy.us. But yeah, I'll see you boys on to next stream on Monday. Thank you, Farn, for
Muchas gracias. See you guys later. Buenas tardes and hasta luego.
Peace out, boys.